Hi everybody, my name is Katherine Gillanders and I'm going to talk a little bit about the impact of the minimum legal drinking age on alcohol-related chronic disease mortality. So I'll start with an overview of the problem. First I'm going to address the broad problem, or really the question that I had. This is the question that drove the research. Basically, the question addresses the relationship between minimum legal drinking age, or MLDA, and mortality. And they wanted to know if the drinking age was lower, what effects will we see on mortality later in life? They highlight the fact that current studies that focus on MLDAs have come up with results supporting the idea that higher MLDAs are linked to not only lower rates of motor vehicle fatalities and lower rates of high school dropouts, but also lower rates of alcohol consumption, as well as lower risk for alcoholism in adulthood. They cite the names of the multitude of studies that provided this information, and I found that really helpful as well. So if we move on to the overview of the specific policy, so the problem that they really had was they said there was no studies that have been done that examine the relationship between MLDA exposure during young childhood and that mortality later in life. So I'll say that the initial policy, where we can kind of start with, is the National Minimum Drinking Age Act of 1984. It was signed by President Ronald Reagan, and it required that all states raise the drinking age to 21. So the problem that they were seeing with this was that, the problematic question was that the implementation of this law actually was increased chances of mortality later in life related to alcohol. So we'll move on to this study. So this particular study, the objective was to examine whether the ability to legally purchase alcohol prior to age 21 is related to increased chronic disease mortality later in life. And they had 3 hypotheses that they were going to test. So the first one was MLDA is associated with increased risk for liver disease and alcohol-related cancers. The second was magnitudes of association are similar among likely non-movers, for whom we are less likely to misestimate MLDA policy exposure. And the third one was the associations between MLDA and alcohol-related chronic disease mortality are stronger among individuals who never attended college. A logistic regression was used to model death due to the chronic diseases. The study methods and data collection were pretty straightforward. The dependent variable was death due to a number of diseases, so alcoholic liver disease not specified as alcohol-related, cancers of the lip, oral cavity, and pharynx, other cancers really along those lines, while the independent variable was simply the MLDA exposure or the age. Data from the 1990 through 2010 U.S. multiple cause of death files were combined with data on the living population and analyzed. They included individuals who turned 18 during the years 1967 and 1990, the period during which the MLDA varied across states. They also examined records on death from several alcohol-related chronic diseases, employing an experimental approach to control for unobserved state characteristics and stable time trends. I've included some stratification variables just to keep in mind. So basically they talked about education and education attainment, if it would have an effect, and also not knowing the original residency of the individuals that were tested. This table I found really helpful, so I've included it. It describes the demographic characteristics of the sample broken down by mortality status for each of the causes of death that were analyzed. So you can kind of look at that and see that the numbers range from 8,000 for this certain cancer to over 115,000 for alcoholic liver. So there's a lot of good information that comes from there. As far as the results go, bear with me, I'm going to go over these as quick as I can. I know there's a lot. So they found with hypothesis 1 that mortality risk was positive and statistically significant for alcoholic liver disease. They found permissive MLDA exposure was associated with 5 and 6% greater odds of death from the 2 causes, and they found a significant association between higher risk of death and permissive MLDA for the other cancers, and the association between MLDA and other certain cancers did not approach statistical significance. Tongue twister. And then the hypothesis 2 for likely non-movers, permissive MLDA was significantly associated with 6% greater odds of mortality from alcoholic liver disease, but not with other outcomes. Hypothesis 3 basically said that individuals who reported college attendance did not exhibit significant association between permissive MLDAs, and those who reported not attending college exhibited significant associations between that. So people who did go did not have it, and the people who didn't go did have it. So just really quickly as a wrap, the few parts of the discussion that really stood out to me were they said that our findings suggest that individuals who were legally permitted to purchase alcohol prior to age 21 had modest but statistically significant increased risk of death from alcoholic liver disease, other liver disease, and other cancers related to this, and who were not permitted to purchase alcohol until 21. And they said, I thought this was cool, that we've estimated that 21 drinking age is prevented over 900 deaths, over 1,000 deaths, over 400 deaths in all these different categories. So I think that the policy should stay because sorry, let me rephrase that. The problem I initially was addressing with the concern about MLDAs and the increasing mortality rates was not wrong, but I think that the policy should not be revised because of the beneficial contributions I stated at the beginning. All right, thank you for your time.